I won't spoil anything with this, but Lady Raven's fans become a part of the important part of the movie in many ways. So I'm wondering what you're trying to say kind of about the nature of fandom and social media with this movie, or if that kind of came after the fact.
Well, no, it's kind of underneath when I'm kind of trying to, it emerges as I'm writing. What do I think the movie is? And like, let's think of it as a graphic novel for a second. And you have the butcher and his life philosophy of compartmentalization as a superpower, and he's advocating for that, and all the things we talked about. The universe is on my side. There's always an answer, and if you just stay, calm and open, it works out. Emotions are unnecessary. They hold you back. And life was so much easier when he didn't feel emotions, and so the feelings that he's having towards his daughter are weakening him, like as a kryptonite. Like his
Yeah, yeah.
daughter is his kryptonite. And so we were talking about that a lot, me and Josh. And so that's him. That's the graphic novel, The Butcher and his philosophy of compartmentalization. Then there's Lady Raven, whose superpower is connection to all, and open and connected to all, and that's a vulnerable place to be. You can't hide anything. Your pains and everything everyone knows about it, and so you kind of you sit into it, and they're naturally at odds. And so the movie talks about this battle of philosophies, and so it's difficult for him to be his supervillain self, because the person that he's against, let's say, is connected to everybody.
You used the word superhero there briefly, and I know this isn't an Unbreakable movie, but as something that as a fan of those, did you ever for a second think maybe he watches some footage of some heroes at a thing? Did that ever cross your mind at all?
More and more I keep thinking that, in another world, I would have been one of these comic book creators, that I would have just thought of another, well, come to work and think of another character, and
Yeah.
I have more in my head like that, where like, oh, this person is just this one little thing about them that's different, and it causes them to have essentially like a superpower. So it's really interesting as now, older. I can see, that I just love making up characters. So there could be a world. If I was saying this to kind of some people earlier, that if I'd known I was going to be able to make more than one movie in my life, I might have kind of tied all this together in some
Right.
larger thing. But literally, I was just like a desperate animal going, make movie number two. Just convince them to make new movie number two. And then when I did two, I was like, convince them to make movie number three. I know this will be the last one, and you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and a big staple of the superhero movie like that is the end credit scene. I won't say what, but I like that there's this button here. I really, really enjoyed it. Is that's not something you usually do. So I'm kind of curious, like, why do in here, and where do you stand on on post credit scenes as a filmmaker? Do you like what they can do? Do you think it kind of gives you too much space?
That's an interesting kind of structural thing, because it's not the movie, and it colors the movie that you saw, and so it's a really interesting thing. You can do something, and even that pause a little bit of just a moment in the credits says structurally this is not directly important, but it's a little extra thing that I think you'll enjoy, or colors the thing. And so
Yeah,
it's fascinating, and it continues the movie, and it's almost like, hey, I know that the narrative is this line and these are the most important characters, but there's another thing that's happening to the side that I think you might be interested in, and you
yeah.
just show that. In this case, it was really interesting because I might be going off on a tangent here, so forgive
Please,
me.
please.
But my girls teach me different things. Now that they're adults and artists, they teach me things. And one of them was that Ishana is more open to the moment than I am. I'm hyper structured, like that. And that, I do think that's a great thing, but I have to at moments be able to just open for a second. And in this movie, we were making the movie, and the actor that we were talking about that was playing this particular role was doing such an incredible job. And then one day while we were shooting, I was like, wouldn't it be great if XYZ happened with this character?
Yeah,
That wasn't in the script. And I was like, and I went, wow, you know what? I'm just going to shoot it. I'm just gonna shoot it. And I was like,
yeah.
start doing it. Let's get it ready. I'll shoot it whenever I have an hour or two, and let's go do it. And that would be an example. Like I was trying, Ishana kind of taught me to kind of, there is the power of prep and formalism, and that is always who I'm gonna be. But if I pepper it a little bit with openness, and I did do that a few times in the movie, you see it with for example, Kid Cudi and some of the
Yeah.
stuff that Kid Cudi, there's little things and smaller things with Josh and Ari and things like that where I'd be like, whoa, 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 stay there and add that to thing. That's not like me normally. So
Yeah.
it kind of, I think, comes out of being using all the preparation so that you can be a tiny bit freer on the day.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.